little known fact is that most of Herbert's work is really thinly veiled praise of the San Francisco 49ers. Yeah.
No, before we start, I just want to say how honored and how like thrilled I am to be here. At first, I was like wondering why El Martillo Press would take on my work, as a playwright, because they mainly do poetry. But after seeing a sampling of some of the poets in Martillo Press, I could see the relationship. There's they're cousins, right? Chicano theater and Chicano poets poetry are cousins to each other because we have inspired each other. And a lot of you poets are so theatrical already, and you bring all your poetry to life in a real theatrical sense, And
theatrical, not dramatic.
Yeah, theatrical, not dramatic. And we'll leave that to us. No, but poetry has been huge influence on culture clash as well. As you know, Richard Montoya's father was Jose Montoya. And we went to New York in the 90s. We met Algarín, we met all the New Yorican poets, and in fact, I interpreted Pedro Pietri. We met Pedro Pietri before he died, which was an honor, and we've done a lot of his poetry in this play called New Yorican Stories. So poets have always been Alurista. They've always been Ricardo Sanchez have always been a big influence in our work, in our history. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and I know you want to talk about the history first, and then I'll get into the book with Martillo Press. Yeah.
We're going to have a rollicking conversation. Herbert's a very sharp, bright, fun guy. We met in the early 90s when I was writing, doing cultural criticism in San Diego for El Sol de San Diego, and you guys were doing plays at the Rep.
Yeah.
Getting really, not just innovating the experience and the form, but really building audiences.
Yeah.
And Sam Woodhouse at the Rep, if you know San Diego, really has a lot to do with the success and popularity of not just you guys, but Chicano, and Latino theater, in the city, because he knew that you had to get the Latino audiences. He knew that you had to maintain the audiences that they already had, and that's always been a tricky area with Chicano and Latino spoken word or theater or any art form that involves money, is that you need to convince the money people that you'll deliver the audiences, and that's one thing that you guys did very consistently. The blue hairs, the college kids,
and we brought in Chicanos too, so it was a combination of both audiences, which is great. We're proud of that we're able to appeal to both audiences.
Yeah, and the work spoke to a broad audience. You really, invited in a very fun way. Every city you guys went to, you would personalize the jokes for that community.
Yeah.
And made them feel welcome, whether it was the rich part of town or the barrio or people that were in the city. It made it feel personal. And if you guys haven't, I think for a lot of us, it began with Bowl of Beings on PBS.
Right.
That was most people's first introduction. The Culture Clash show, which was on Fox, which did not play in a lot of markets.
Right.
It did not play San Diego. And then going into the plays, the documentary theater, the larger pieces. I think you were at the Getty with Aristophanes, The Birds, and then becoming favorites of the Oregon Shakespeare Festival. And that's when they sold out, really. That's what I want to say. It's just they sold out.
No, what happens is that, we started humbly in 1984, Cinco de Mayo 1984, in a gallery, Galería de la Raza in San Francisco. It's the size of this room. That's where we started, on a little 50 seats, and it was called Comedy Fiesta. It was going to be one night, Cinco de Mayo Comedy Fiesta. Even the name is funny, right? Just Comedy Fiesta. It was the three of us, Marga Gomez, Monica Palacios, who are also comedians.
Antonio Burciaga.
Yeah, Tony Burciaga, rest in peace. And it was a one-night event, and people just lost it, It was just stand-up comedy. I was just the MC that day. That night I just did MC and I did impersonations. I did impersonation of Paul Rodriguez, Julio Iglesias, just every time to bring out a comedian, I would be another character. I even did Michael Jackson in blackface. Oh yeah. No, in the 80s we could do that. You know what I'm saying? No, you know what I'm saying? It was totally fine.
Hey, if Michael Jackson could do it, you could do it.
Yeah. Then he did whiteface, right? He did whiteface. But so people like lost it that night. We had to do 2 shows that night because we sold out the first one and the second one. And what happened is that for the first time ever, Latino Chicanos, second generation of Chicanos that were now urban, right? I'm talking from the fields to the urban. Chicanos saw themselves on stage for the first time. They're going, oh yeah, we do put a hot dog in a tortilla. I do that. I do speak like that. My dad listens to Vicente Fernandez, but I'm listening to the Beatles, or you know what I'm saying, or Led Zeppelin. You know what I'm saying? So,
Or the Smiths.
So yeah, right. So the name Culture Clash really stuck because we're talking about the cultures clash between us and our parents, our own culture, and the clash between us and the dominant society, white culture, right? And even the culture clash between Latinos, I mean, a Mexicano is very different than an Argentino, for example.
And you're Salvadoran.
Yeah, one's obnoxious, No, we always say, like, what's the difference between a Chicano and a Cuban? $50,000 a year. Yeah. But anyway, the secret was that Rick Salinas and me, we're Salvadoreño. I was born in San Francisco, but my parents are Salvadoreño. Rick was born in El Salvador, came to San Francisco at 3. So 2 out of the 3 Chicanos in this Chicano theater group were Salvadoreño. But that just shows you the diversity that San Francisco had.
Yeah, and what a lot of people don't acknowledge is that the term Chicano was diversifying. I mean, to me, being from the border region, it's always the mestizaje, it's always the self-determination, and it's always the self-identification. So if you're coming into this melting pot and you're indigenous to some part of the Americas, you define if you're a Chicano. You have a role in defining what Chicano is. And being fronterizo, it's a whole other conversation too. But this notion that people were trying, and at that time, people were trying to like X out Chicano as being outdated, right, and old guard male, and it really wasn't. When they were trying to X it out, you guys were innovating, like everybody was innovating. And now today we can call ourselves whatever we want, but those social justice, pillars, to me are what determine whether you're a Chicano or not. Your work is full of that.
I think the Bay Area just has a particular vibe, because we also grew up with, exiled Chileans, that were coming from Chile, right? Exiled Nicaraguans, Salvadoreños. When we were coming up, the civil war in El Salvador and Nicaragua were happening, you know what I'm saying? So we come out of that, there was stand-up comedy in Robin Williams and all those people came out of San Francisco. So it was a particular type of stand-up comedy that was coming out of that. So we got influenced by all these things, Guillermo Gomez Peña came out of San Francisco too.
San Diego.
Yeah, San Diego. So we had a particular take.
And here in Orange County, they also had a similar thing because they had exiles from Echo Park, from Boyle Heights.
Yeah. Yes.
No, but thank you. But one thing, and if you weren't there, you don't understand how explosive like a culture clash show was, because we take it for granted that we can stream media and get records and books from Latino authors. It was not like that at all in the 80s. You're lucky if you found one Gloria Anzaldúa, one 100 Years of Solitude, and just seeing, because I experienced it when I saw Zoot Suit for the first time on the screen, on the big screen. It's like I've never seen us up there like that.
Yeah, I saw Zoot Suit in '77. That had a big influence on me before I started doing teatro. I came to the Aquarius Theater to see it from San Francisco. I had a small theater group in San Francisco called Teatro Gusto, and we came down to see it, and it was like, whoa, this is what I want to do,
And it was, the not seeing yourself reflected in any, media and society. When all you had to do was like mention the word chancla in a joke, and people would just explode because they were so repressed of not seeing it anywhere else, that this was a safe place. And all these little nuances of culture.
We had a TV show, in the producer was white, right? He says, well, you know, I always notice that when you guys say carne asada, everyone laughs. So we always had, well, how do we end this joke? Just put carne asada, and then, you know, people laugh, you know.
And the thing about laughter is it's an involuntary response. Like you can craft a joke and tell a joke, but if it doesn't land, if it doesn't hit those nerves and those buttons, it's not going to work.
Right.
But you guys went in with like laser precision, and a lot of comedy is pain. So you guys could bring that out in a really, really funny way that people could see themselves and heal and laugh at the pain, which is really important in a cultural community. If you can't laugh at your pain.
Yeah, I think our, you know, all our influences like Richard Pryor, you know, those were all, those, you know, that his comedy comes from pain, you know.
Yeah.
A lot of these, you know, a lot of the comics that we grew up with. You know,
and there's an honesty there.
Yeah. And I think that's it, honesty. You know, I think it's the truth, right? I think people recognize the truth, and that's when they laugh. When they, you know, when a joke is false, you won't laugh at it. But when there's a truth in it, you'll laugh.
And you would
either out of, you know, just surprise or out of just pain as well, collective pain. You know.
And you would also like rib the season ticket holders and the white community, but they felt welcomed in.
Right.
And even you guys played characters.
We bit the hand that fed us, right? And they liked it, you know. You know, it's we didn't want to be polite, you know.
And it wasn't mean, but it wasn't weak either.
Right.
Yeah, you guys threw some barbs out there.
It took a while. It took a while to do that balance. We would offend people, you know.
So the popularity with the other, you know, the Latino audiences, inspiring other performers, you know, to see a culture clash. And the show's got, I mean, so many characters, so it's like, you know, comedy's all about surprise. And you guys would just totally make left turns and right turns and drag the audience along. They didn't know what hit them.
That's important. It's to keep people off. If you feel like a joke's coming or you know the plot's coming, you know, then it's not funny or surprising. You have to be ahead of the audience.
Yeah.
That's what we say. Yeah.
I remember it was a skit that got cut, but when you guys were doing Border Town, in the early drafts, there was a skit with Shamu on a psychiatrist's couch.
Yeah.
It was a great skit.
No.
But it gets cut for time, so one of the lost ones. But so some of the culture clash plays, because we're going to get into the new stuff. But what is it?
Well, after Bowl of Beans, that was filmed for PBS, Grand Performances. So what happens is, like, you know, at the beginning, and this goes for poetry too, maybe it might change, I don't know for you, but you know, at first we were talking about us as Chicanos, growing up Chicano, being bilingual, bicultural, confused and full of rage, right? But you know, you can't. I don't think you can build a career just doing that. You know, some people have. I think as artists, if you want a long career as an artist, you have to reinvent yourself. You have to adjust and do other things, you know? And so we couldn't do another Bowl of Beans. I thought a Bowl of Beans, to me, said it all for us anyway, in the 90s, you know?
Let's hear for Bowl of Beans.
Yeah. So we couldn't do that again. So we said, well, what do we do next? And so what happened was a producer from Miami invited us to do a play about Miamians, you know, to go there and just interview Miamians. And we didn't know anything about Miami. We were Chicanos from the, you know, I just knew that there, you know, that there was, you know, retired Jewish people and you know,
Scarface.
And Scarface was big. So we were excited about going to Miami. And what happened was we went to Miami, we interviewed people from all over the world that came to Miami and asked them, why did you come to the Miami? What is it about Miami that you like? And people started to talk about their past and their immigrant story, and also how they thought about their neighbor, what they thought about their neighbor. And so, man, it was just amazing what people would say.
You had tape recorders. You guys just
we just went around with tape recorders, rarely analog with video, and people just gave us the most amazing interviews. Would you like to hear one? Okay, this is the first interview we ever did about a Haitian man. His name was Victor. He was a Haitian elder in the Haitian community, you know. Do I love Miami? Yes, I say. Because more than Miami? No, sorry.
Do I love Miami? No.
Yes, I say. Do I love Miami? Yes, I say. Because more than any place in Miami? No. I'm sorry. I
okay,
it's all right. Let's continue.
Okay.
You're going to cut that.
Yeah. You had that. That's the
thought I had
next
it.
book. The next book from
It's
Martillo Press.
it's like a 20-year-old monologue.
But so many characters,
Yeah.
like it's hard to keep them in there because there are so many characters. Everyone has their favorite, but just the joy that the audiences would get at seeing them.
No, but so what happened was it really opened as Chicanos, it really opened our perspective to see other people outside of California, outside of being Chicano, and having similar immigrant stories, right? And so that really just opened the hope. And so we wrote a play called Radio Mambo about Miami and about Cubans coming to Miami and all that. And it just opened a whole new, and it was a big hit for us. And so other theaters wanted their own versions in their own cities. And so we got commissioned all over the United States to do, a play about San Francisco, the .com era, Chicago, New York, New Yorican stories and all that.
And you were the only Latino group doing it because like Anna Devere Smith was doing it, Roger Givner Smith.
Right, we were the only ones doing it, yeah. So they weren't Chicano plays anymore. They were plays about America, right?
It's about America now.
Yeah, through a Chicano lens, though. You know what I'm saying? We would always play ourselves, but now we were like open to other.
And in
ideas.
Bordertown, you interviewed vigilantes, right?
Yeah, vigilantes on the border, yeah.
But the plays just kept coming.
And immigrants,
There was Carpa Clash, one of my favorites. And then you guys were starting to branch out with American Night.
Right. Then after 20 years of doing site-specific work with interview-based work, then we started adapting classics and started doing traditional plays. Again, we just had to find something else to do, and so we started to adapt classics like from Aristophanes, who's a Greek, satirist, amazing. But those plays don't work. They don't work now. You know what I'm saying? He's talking about gods and philosophers that we have no idea. So basically, we took those stories and made them contemporary, made them Chicano.
Right. We took the universal elements of it and ran them through your filter.
And that's what this book has. I still do that. So four of these plays are adaptations of either classics or other material. Yeah.
And I remember when you first started branching out as a playwright on your own, you reached out to me to tell me about your project El Henry, which was an adaptation of Henry the Fourth.
Part one.
And I was like, oh, this is exciting. And the rep was with you on it, and you guys did it in not in a theater. It was
no, we did it in a lot, downtown lot. It was great. It was beautiful. We put bleachers up, and we did it on a lot. And we hired real lowrider clubs to come in, and
Chunky Sanchez.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Kenan Valdez was in the production.
Kenan and Lakim were, yeah.
So that right out of the gate with El Henry, put you on the scene as a presence because you won an award for that one, right out of the gate.
Yeah. So what I would like to do is kind of read the preface of this book.
Okay.
Because I think it'll answer a lot of your questions.
Okay.
And what this book's all about. Do you allow me? Yeah. All right. This is the playwright's notes. I'm truly honored to present to you my anthology of Latino plays published by El Martillo Press. It's a bit ironic, honestly, because I never really considered myself a playwright. To me, playwrights were those serious, tortured souls hunched over a typewriter, chain-smoking cigarettes, sipping whiskey in a dingy hotel room, or worse, snooty intellectuals full of academic theater knowledge and even fuller of themselves, right? I once met a playwright who refused to watch performances of their plays, instead choosing to listen backstage over the monitors. When I asked why, they said, I don't need to see the actors. I just need to hear my words. What a wanka. That's a delicious British slur I picked up from watching Ted Lasso, right? What a wanka. I took it personally because as an actor who also writes, I'm an actor playwright. And for a long time, that title felt like it wasn't respected as being a real playwright, as if you couldn't possibly be good at both. And you got to realize that the beginning of Chicano theater, a lot of us were actor playwrights, right? We didn't have playwrights that would write for us. No, there was no playwrights. We had to write it and act it as well, right? Then later, Chicanos started getting academic, and started becoming playwrights, dramaturgs, actors, and all that. And it became Latin theater. But we'll get into that later. As a member of Culture Clash, we wrote dozens of critically acclaimed plays, but we were also often dismissed by scholars as court jesters, entertainers, payasos, not serious playwrights. Comedic writing really rarely gets the respect that drama does. Case in point, it wasn't until we transitioned into dramas like Chavez Ravine and Montoya's dark and brilliant Water and Power that we started getting real respect from the haters. We became writer-performers because we had no choice. As Latino actors in the Bay Area, we weren't getting cast because there was no roles for us, so we wrote for ourselves. We collectively wrote The Mission, about 3 out-of-work Chicano actors who decide to kidnap Spanish crooner Julio Iglesias to get recognition. I played Julio. We wrote a perfect traditional 3-act structure comedy without really knowing that we did. Storytelling was in our blood, and we kept writing and learning as we developed into nationally recognized theater artists. So what's funny is that none of us in Culture Clash, we never went to school to formally, study playwriting.
Because you had a visual arts background.
Yeah, I had a visual arts program. And so, it's kind of funny that we're just natural storytellers, right? And then later we started finding, we were doing the 3-act structure and this is a structure that's ingrained in all of us, All the TV, all the films that you see have the 3-act structure. I mean, obvious, so obvious, too obvious. And that's why you get born in the... Right. Okay, the 3 of us, Rick, Montoya, and myself, grew up watching the same influences, El Teatro Campesino, the San Francisco Mime Troupe, and a heavy dose of American 60s TV. You can see the unconscious influence of shows like The Munsters, The Addams Family, F Troop, The Three Stooges, and smart subversive cartoons like The Bullwinkle Show, and the Speedy Gonzales segments of Looney Tunes in our work. While our bilingual households played reruns of Cantinflas and Tintan movies over Beatles records, the mishmash of culture, humor, and rebellion shaped our writing. We never took formal college courses of Shakespeare or studied Aristotelian structure. Chale. We invented our own voice and style, one that didn't fit neatly into the academic or critical boxes, and we're proud of that. In the 80s and 90s, we still wrote collectively, but as I grew older as an individual artist, it got harder and harder to write. Eventually, Montoya took the reins as head writer, which was fine, but Rick and I had less to do. I especially grew restless because I had ideas that didn't quite fit the group. That led me to write Cantinflas, an homage to the great Mexican comedic icon, and later my solo show, A Weekend with Pablo Picasso, my dream project where I act, paint live on stage. My life took a huge turn when I was awarded 2 consecutive 3-year playwright and resident grants from the Mellon Foundation, managed by the good people at HowlRound Theater Commons at Boston's Emerson College. I chose San Diego Repertory as my home base, and my family and I moved to San Diego in 2016 to embark on this next chapter. I'd be lying if I said it didn't affect the group dynamic back in LA, but this was my chance to focus fully on writing, knowing my work would be produced and seen. I know the Rep's audience was diverse and progressive, but still predominantly white. That presented certain challenges. But like with Culture Clash, I didn't dilute my voice. I stayed specific and authentic. And by doing so, the work became universal. After a couple of fully produced hit plays, I started considering myself a playwright. This is a sad story. San Diego Rep suspended operations on June 19th, 2022, after 46 years of producing theater in San Diego. The closure was caused by a combination of factors: financial difficulties from the loss of a major donor, low ticket sales during and after the pandemic, the challenges of operating in a construction zone, and a failed and misguided woke coup d'etat that forced co-founder Sam Woodhouse to retire. The Rep's closure was a significant loss for the National Theater ecosystem, and its absence is still felt today because it marked the end of progressive theater in San Diego. So, each play, I'm just going to let you know what's in this book, okay? Each play is, the plays in this collection were written between 2014 and 2023, spanning before, during, and after my Mellon residency. I selected these plays because they are unapologetically Chicano, Latino in style and spirit, okay? Each play is presented in the chronological order, and this is what the book has. El Henry, 2014, a post-gringo, post-apocalyptic Chicano adaptation of Shakespeare's Henry IV, Part 1. Manifest Destinitis, 2016, a pre-gringo, early California adaptation of Moliere's The Imaginary Invalid. Bad Hombres, Good Wives, 2019, a narco-comedy adaptation of Moliere's The School for Wives. A People's Cuban Christmas Tale, an adaptation of Dickens' A Christmas Carol, set before, during, and after the Cuban Revolution. It's a Wonderful Vida, 2022, a Christmas family drama set in 1950s Corpus Christi, Texas. And my last play, Star of Ocotillo, 2023, an original contemporary nativity play set in the California desert near the Mexican border. So that's what the 6 plays that are in here that I'm really, really, really excited and proud about. Yeah, thank you.
And one thing that I've always imagined as a cultural critic is looking at, like, say, film, for example, because that's like my primary thing.
Yeah.
Latinos were there in the silent era. Latinos were in film all over the country. But when sound came, the story is that, they had accents and they couldn't use them. But they just kind of disappeared. So there are a lot, and in our film festival, we showed a restored Bolivian silent film from like 1920, and it was amazing. Like all the avant-garde artists, it's called Wara Wara, all the avant-garde artists of the day, like the equivalent of the Picasso, the equivalent of the,
So were we really present during the silent era?
We were there. But
In fact, my friend Raul Cardona, a good actor friend of mine, he's writing a play about the life of Guillermo Calles. Guillermo Calles was this guy that was in almost all the silent films. You know, he was the Indio, the Arab. I mean, but he, had big roles in it. And then when the talkies came, they just ousted him. Yeah.
So it leads you to wonder, like, what about all these other disciplines? Like where was our theater in? Who's the equivalent of our Shakespeare? So if we don't have them, what you're doing, I think, it's a natural thing. You reclaim it. You become that person that says, well, if I was writing at that time, this is what I would have said, or from my perspective. So you have to fill this void and give the next generation a chance to read this in school, because then they don't feel like, well, where were we? You're answering the question, you're blazing the trail. So tell me about, let's start with El Henry. Getting into that story, what did it mean to you as a Salvadoran Chicano in San Diego at the time? Because we're talking like, post Prop 187, post Pete Wilson. Like, what did that story say to you?
Well, first, I just got to just say that I do not like Shakespeare. Like, I'm not a scholar. I didn't grow up watching Shakespeare or understanding Shakespeare, so I always felt a little alienated from watching those shows. And as an actor, you go to see Shakespeare because you have to, right? It just feels like church, It's like, to be a good Catholic, you want to go to church, but you really don't understand the shit they're saying, right? Or you don't believe in it, right? And that's how I feel when I go to a Shakespeare play, like, well, I don't really believe in this, you know what I'm saying? But I'm supposed to like it and supposed to go with it. And so I think I think, it was time to decolonize Shakespeare in a way. They're not gonna kick him out. So I feel like, okay, why don't I take one of his stories that I understood finally and make it ours, and because I just think that's just, I think our gente are just, let's talk about the globe in San Diego. I mean, the Globe in San Diego does not cater to the Latinos in Barrio Logan. Let's put it that way, right? I mean, they have their audience, right? So basically, I wanted to see how could I take a Shakespeare play that would appeal to Barrio Logan, right? And I think that's what came out with Henry yeah.
And you didn't get shanked, so that's a good thing. They liked it. They liked it.
So what I did was I took the story of Henry IV, which is basically a history play. It's about the English kings. Everybody was jockeying for power for the British Empire, right? You had the Scottish, you had all these people, jockeying to be the king, right? And then so it's a play about loyalty, it's about honor, it's about family. And I'm looking at it and I'm seeing this. I'm like, this is Chicano warfare. This is barrio warfare. It's exactly the same thing where different factions are jockeying over territories, right? And so I just I set the play in a post-apocalyptic California where the gringos have left us California. There's just too many Latinos, and they said, "Chale, let's get out of here." And so who would? But check this out. It's a wonderful fantasy, isn't it? No, but I mean, look at it. We're 60% of the population. I mean, in 30 years, we'll be 90%. So it's a really reality. But do you think they're going to give up the power? No, right? So that's another. But in this story, they've left. They just said, "Chale." It was like, well, I would like to read you the opening monologue.
And that, my friends, is why you should be a writer. To imagine that future.
Yeah. So let me read you from the very beginning. I'll play all the characters. Okay. Now this is post-apocalyptic, right? And there's these two like young, these little homies in the future. They're going through they're scavenging in a desert, right? Tisok, what is it, fool? I found an iPhone 23. So what? That's old gringo technology. It's worthless, fool. I know, huh? We're back to steam, coal, and transistors. Yippee. Stop your bitching, fool. Keep looking for food, or better yet, water. Then the guy finds, Tisok, damn, what is it, fool? I see a big vato over here. Muerto? Is he dead? I think so, dog. Well, what you waiting for? Get his wallet, fool. Easier said than done, the vato's gigantic. Help me turn him over. Fuchi, he stinks of pisto. And then the fat guy wakes up. It's Fausto, right? Falstaff, right? Fausto. Que chingados! Who are the pendejo who hath the bolas to take my wallet? I'm Fausto, king of all thieves, lord of all ladrones. Hold still, cabrones, so I can give you thou a chingazo upside your cabezas. And then one of the kids goes, give us your money, fool, you Chicano elephant man. Yeah, cough it up, man tits. You call those fileros? Your shanks can't harm me. I got tires of steel, long as the acero way. Hey, I think this gordo's crazy, eh? Damn right I'm crazy. I invented crazy. I'm living a vida loca crazy. Ah-hoo-ah. I'm Fausto, and I run with El Henry. So go ahead, locos, make your move. It's kind of like Matt Cedillo, right? Anyway. And then one of the guys says, El Henry, you say? The prince of Barrio Ischip? Son of El Hank? Simon, what you gonna do? The street thugs think about it. Yo, this fat vato is connected, man. Let's get out of here, fool. Yeah, dog, lucky for him. And then Fausto says, no, lucky for you. Now get out of here before I sit on your scrawny asses. Ah! And the vatos run away, right? Culeros! Cowards! Culeros! Chingao, I'm out of breath right here. I got to go back to the gym. And then he notices you guys. Oh, Cule! Welcome to Aztlan, formerly known as San Diego, capital of Aztlan. Now, Aztlan is basically California after the gringo exodus.
Yeah, you heard me right. I said gringo exodus. See, back in 2032, there was a worldwide pandemic and all the banks collapsed. And Mexico went completely bankrupt and 50 million Mexicans fled north, crossing the border into Califas. No fence, no laws, no drones could keep them out. Raza everywheres. La Jolla started looking like Chula Vista. And Chula Vista, well, kept looking like Chula Vista. In 2035, the gringos, the negros, the chinos, even the Ethiopian cab driver said, Chale, screw this. Too many Mexicans. We're out of here. So they packed their bags and split and formed their own country east of the Rockies. It was white flight on a big scale, tú sabes. Now, they left us California to live and to rule. We named it Aztlán. And it was cool for a while, you know. Everybody was happy and got along, you know, viva la raza de colores and all that shit. But then it all went to hell. It all went to hell. Corrupt Hispanic politicians who think, look, and act like they're white took the political power and civic power. But we, the Chicanos, we took the streets. We went tribalist. We formed our own street kingdom and anointed our first king, El Hank. Now my dog, El Henry, is El Hank's eldest son. See, he could be the prince, but he don't want that shit. No, he don't want that pedo. No, El Henry would rather battle between two soft chichotas and get a hard hit off a hash pipe. Now that's his kingdom. And then we show Henry like partying with two cholas and just being a party, right? And then Fausto says, so this is what happens when Chicanos, Mexicans, and Hispanics run a pinche country. Puro pinche chaos. I kind of miss the gringos, you know. At least with them, we had law, order, and wick stamps. Oh, shit. Talk about El Diablo. Here comes El Hank and his generales right now. They don't really exactly like me because they think I'm a bad influence on El Henry. Can you believe that shit? Anyways, you guys go ahead and chill as this tale unfolds. Catch you all later. Yeah. So just that first scene kind of sets up the whole play for you, right? And that's how the Shakespeare play starts. It's just this guy comes out, lays out the kings and the British and blah blah, and it's like, oh. But so to make it Chicano, you guys are like, yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
And it was a critical success.
Oh yeah. It was it won best play of that year, 2014. Yeah.
So then let's.
No, it's a great story. You know, it's a great story. It's about El Henry. El Henry is this vato loco, but he's really he's the son of the king, but he doesn't want the crown. He just wants to party la vida loca, right? And then it gets to a point where El Henry says, I got to back up my jefe. I got to back up my barrio. Now it's getting serious, right? And so he becomes a barrio warrior, and they defeat the other gang that wants to overthrow,
But if you want the whole story, buy the book. Buy the book. And so you relocated to San Diego, and you started working on other plays. I remember it's not in this anthology, but Stealing Heaven.
Right. It's not in this one because I really wanted to make this book specifically Chicano Latino plays. You know that.
But you're still taking on American stories.
Yeah. You know, there was this radical in the '60s called Abbie Hoffman. You know, he was part of the Chicago 7, and he was the first guy to he was amazing because he was like a radical, but he was really theatrical. He was the first guy to really do performance art and use the media, to his advantage. Like in 1968, he ran a pig for president, right? And he brought the pig, to in front of the cameras and said, "This guy's going to run for president," right? Which was amazing, right? That was like so, satire at its best, right? Political performance art at its best.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so,
unfortunately, we have a pig for president now.
And so No, but he was the first guy to warn us that that the right was going to take our leftist ideas, all our tactics, right, lefty tactics, and take our ideas, our tactics, and use them against us, and they have. Mm-hmm. They have. I mean, come on, we all grew up in the 60s, 70s. Our fantasy was to overthrow, to storm the Capitol, wasn't it? That was my fantasy. Well, guess who did it? The right did it. You know what I'm saying? They took our tactics, our philosophy, and used it against us. Yeah, and this guy said that's going to happen. That's going to happen. He says the military, big business, big farm is going to take over the government. And he said this in the early 60s, and it all happened.
But it's a beautiful play. It's a really, really good play. So take us now to Bad Hombres, Good Wives. How did that come about?
Bad Hombres, Good Wives. Well, yeah, you know, this...
Because that was a critical success too.
Yeah, I was noticing on Spanish TV that all these narco novela series, right? And it was, and narco, and the whole, even American TV, we were just obsessed with narcos, right? That was our only story. Well, I'm like, what would happen if I made a narco comedy? You know what I'm saying? Not a narco drama or bloody drama, but a narco comedy, kind of like the Addams Family, the same thing where they take like the genre of horror, but they make it a comedy, right? And so, yeah, that really worked well. And I basically used an old story by Moliere called The School of Wives, where this guy sends his wife to a monastery to be trained to be his perfect subservient wife, right? So I thought, what would happen if a king narco guy sent a mujer or a niña, right, to the monastery to train her to be the perfect, subservient wife. But she comes out being a very, very smart, woke girl, that busts his balls, So it's really funny. So it's, it's just classic satire, Yeah. But I put my little, I interject my little politics in there.
And what was your favorite part of writing that play?
Oh, well, I got to work with the Nortec guys,
Oh, right.
Yeah, they did the music for the...
Like Bostitch.
Yeah, Bostitch, yeah. Yeah, so that was cool.
Right on.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can hear it in there. Okay, so then how did we get from there to Manifest Destinitis?
Well, yeah, I wrote Manifest Destinitis at first because I think Manifest Destiny, the whole Treaty of Guadalupe, I think that is like the genesis of our struggle, of our colonialism, right? Is that part of history, is when Mexico became the United States. I think that is when Chicanos were born, right? I think that's the genesis of our struggle, that right there. So I really wanted to write a play about that moment in time. The Mexican-American War was, as you know, a farce.
And they don't teach it.
Yeah, they don't teach the why they wanted to fight Mexico and what happened, and it was really to steal a third of Mexico's territory for their manifest destiny, right? To get to the West Coast, right?
And true story, because I worked on a documentary on the Mexican War. The U.S. took over Mexico City. They could have claimed the whole country, but there was a big battle in Congress where some people wanted the whole country, but then they're like, wait a minute, if we take all of the country, then we got to deal with the Mexicans because they're not slaves.
They still had to deal with us.
They're not indigenous. They're part European, so we'd have to give them voting rights. And then they said, no, we'll just take the unpopulated parts. And,
and so they went, yeah. Wow. What was I going to say?
What was the reaction to it, like, from the Chicanos and from the Anglo?
Oh, no. I mean, everybody was on board, This was when Trump was running for office. And, so I get, that famous speech by Trump where he says, we're rape, they're coming over, they're rapists, they're uneducated, they got sickness and all that. Well, I have a Californio, he's on his rancho, right? And he's hearing about the gringos coming in, right, from the east in their wagons. And so I gave that speech to a California saying, you know, these gringos coming from, these Yankees coming from the East, you know, they're not the best people. They're rapists, they're this and that. People are like, oh my God. So I just wanted to show how power, it doesn't matter if you're white, brown, or black. When you have the power, you're going to always look over your shoulder because the other people want your power, right? Or you think they want your power. You're always paranoid, right? So I have Latinos being paranoid about gringos for the first time. You know, and they rightfully were.
And your work, from the kind of training you got with culture clash and going on into your own work, you always bring weight, but you also bring people back from the edge, like with humor, and bring them back to a safe harbor. And it's a fun ride, you know, but you do go into those dark places.
Yeah, I think there's contradictions. I mean, there's contradictions all the time, even with us as Chicanos, right? You know what I'm saying? So I think we're not afraid to say that. Just point out, yeah, oh, the Chicano movement's great. Yeah, you know what? It's a little sexist. It's a little racist. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're not afraid to say that. You know what I'm saying? And then that way, you know, you advance a little. You know?
Can we jump ahead to It's a Wonderful Vida? Because It's a Wonderful Life is one of my favorite movies.
Yeah, I basically, because the premise of the story is the guy comes, Santa, right, or a saint comes down, he wants his wings.
Angel, yeah.
An angel wants his wings, so he has to pick somebody in the...
Save him, help him out.
Save him, yeah. So basically, it's a Santa story. I have this guy, Saint Nick, coming down. He wants his Santa hat, so he picks this random familia in Corpus Christi, Texas, 1955, that just came back from they just came from Mexico. And he picks this family to try to save them. But we find out that the family's going through major turmoil, because what I did is I show, like, the families that came from the Mexican Revolution, you know, in the turn of the century. They came to the West, you know, they came to Texas or Arizona, and they came with their traditional values, Mexican values, right? And they wanted to stay Mexican. But the kids didn't want to stay Mexican, right? They went to the school, you know, they wanted to be, you know, rock and rollers, they wanted the sock hops, they wanted all that. So I show that pain, not pain, but yeah, it was pain for the parents, right? That they were losing their kids. You know, they didn't want to speak Spanish. They wanted to be American, right? They wanted to be rock and rollers. They wanted to be James Dean. They didn't want to be Pedro Infante. You know what I'm saying?
Richie Valens.
Yeah, Richie Valens is a combination of both, right? Yeah. And then the last play, Star of Ocotillo, that I'm really proud of, because I think it's the first play where I think, like, my true voice really comes out, and it's the most honest play of the series, because it's not based off any other, you know, stories. It's just one that I wanted to always write. I've always wanted to write a what they call a living room play, where you know, everything just takes place in the living room, and you know, shit happens inside and out. Well, It's a Wonderful Vida. It's also a living room play. But this one, I wanted to make a contemporary Chicano kind of comedy of errors, you know, where, again, showing the contradictions of being a Chicano and living in the United States. So I have a Hollywood producer, Chicano Hollywood producer, who lives has a big mansion on the desert of Ocotillo, on the edge of the border, right? And he invites his old Chicano friends from Pasadena to come down. And, you know, something I've noticed that, you know, Chicanos even people that I know, Chicanos that were really radical in the 70s, you know, and they were like gung-ho and pro-Cuban now they're like the most conservative Hispanics fucks that I know, right?
Voting against immigrants.
Yeah, that, you know, they probably voted for Trump, you know what I'm saying? So I just wanted to show that. I wanted to show how, with age, you know, people either stay the same. I think I stood the same, but I'm the same 17-year-old kid I was. But other people, you know, like change, you know, because of economics and whatever, you know. And I wanted to show that. So we have these, you know, upper middle class Chicanos, you know, drinking wine, drinking expensive tequila in the middle of the desert, and then they find an undocumented Salvadoreña in his wine cellar. She's hiding from ICE, right? From the Border Patrol. So, you know, how does how do middle-class Latinos, Chicanos, deal with something real like this, an undocumented Salvadoreña. Yeah, but it's a Christmas play. She's also pregnant. She's pregnant and might hold the new Messiah. Who knows?
And I think that, because I remember back in the day I bought like the first Culture Clash Anthology of Plays, and it was a very slim volume. This is heavy. You could hurt someone with this. And it's great for teaching, because I think
that's what why I printed. Yeah, that's why I wanted it out, because you got to leave something behind, and I just wanted to leave something behind for Latino actors and stuff. Latino actors and regionals. It'll stop a bullet too. Yeah, regionals.
And you could whack ice on the head with it too. Very practical. So what message do you have for the next generation of writers who don't see themselves reflected, or who want to continue with like the work that you started?
I mean, it's easier said than done, but you got to do it yourself. You got to write yourself in, write yourself. Write, you want to be the lead of a play? Well, write it. Say, that's how my career happened. It was just out of necessity.
And one thing,
and I haven't seen any, progress in that sense. I mean, we have more playwrights, we have more, academics, but the regional theaters are still not producing us.
Yeah.
They said they wanted, they produced us for a little bit. They got a little bit of pressure, during COVID. They got a little pressure, but it's back. It's really back. I know no one's getting produced right now. No one's getting produced. What's happening is we get the second stage, we get readings, we get festivals, new play reading festivals, which are great and dandy, but only a few people come and see it, but they don't get the production.
And one thing that we really like to espouse here at MASA is that we need to use the technology that's available to us to do the work. Mm-hmm. Because back in the day, I hate to be that guy, but I always say whenever we're teaching a video class to kids, it's like if you wanted to make a video or a film in 1990, say, you needed like a $20,000 camera, $20,000 editing system, heavy lights.
Right.
People
you don't need that now.
People who were trained specifically to do that.
Right.
Editors that were specifically, and before digital, it was all the tape. And now you don't. You just pick up your phone and do it. And the sound quality is good, the video quality is good. And I think a lot of people haven't gotten that message yet.
I know.
Like if you want to write a play, pick up your phone and just start filming. Since we have a lot of writers here and poets, what message do you have to writers and poets specifically to go into theater, to use theater more in their work?
Yeah, I was talking with Matt Cedillo about that. He says he wants to write a play about, his life. And I said, yeah, do it. I mean, I'll help him, the collaboration. I think, I have theater background. He doesn't. But he's a great writer, and he's got great stories, and he's got great personality. He just needs a little help from somebody objective that will help him direct it into it. Yeah. And so I think we need to collaborate. We need to collaborate more. Yeah.
And there are more people out there who can do that we can reach out to in our communities. We know people at CSUN, at Fullerton, at San Diego State that are willing to help. But again, these people were not there in the 80s and 90s. So we have to as we bang on doors and see if they're open, we have to realize that there are actual doors to open right now. And not be gatekeepers or if there is a gatekeeper, there's somebody else who's willing to help you.
Sorry. Keep going.
Okay. Well,
we're using the technology here, folks.
The real Herbert Sigüenza right here. No, take your time.
No, go ahead. I just wanted to. I'm going to bring up. I want to bring up that monologue that I wanted to do for you guys.
Well, I think what just to say is to us, we're in an interdisciplinary era. So we need to know video, we need to know music, we need to know editing, we need to know poetry, we need to know, language on the page and language in performance. And we have to have spaces to do it. When you mentioned Galeria de la Raza, these are, like you said, small spaces, but they did a lot of great work. A lot of people came out of
I really agree. I really tell a lot of students, use your community centers, use your communities. This is a great center. Come and if you have an ambition to do something,
Yeah.
I'm sure you'll give them the space. You know?
Yeah, definitely, and teach them how to use technology.
There you go.
To get the word out, and back in the day, because the 70s was a heyday of communities starting community centers, and there was funding at some level. Now the funding's gone. With Trump, it's like we're screwed. But we like to say that it used to be that you need to seize the means of production. Now we need to be the means of production. And so, like with what you're doing, if nobody's doing it, you do it yourself.
You have to.
And the relationships that you've built. I mean, one thing that I always appreciated watching Culture Clash after a show is how freaking charming you guys were to the season ticket holders. It was just, you were showering them with your availability, like because you're right. Somebody else might come out and go, "I'm the playwright," but you were just playing with them and having fun with them, making it so wonderful for them. And it left off the stage.
I mean, we appreciate that they're coming to see us. They're paying tickets, and they're what I'm saying? Like, that's our audience. You know what I'm saying? We're helping. They're
part of
it. We pay rent.
Part of the deal.
And I have to acknowledge that.
His class is free. I mean,
These are playwriting classes. Yeah.
they're free, they're on the internet, and I just happen to just click on these things and just take whatever. Let me tell you, my writing has totally changed. Just the inspiration was great, and then of course I get to hang out all summer with him in Carlsbad.
That was fun.
Thursdays with a bunch of other white people. But here's the thing: all of us, we all have our inner voices, right? And all of us have been taught, not necessarily for the right reason, but your voice doesn't matter. You don't count. You don't, right? You taught us, or you've been teaching us, by example, that we can make a difference, and our voices need to be heard.
Thank you.
And I'm serious about all of us that are getting together over the next couple of years, especially here in Orange County, per se, because I think we got the ability to really make some really great stuff. And with the experiences that we have, we're going to bring you here to do your own festival. Right? That's how further I'm looking down the road. So
Thank you.
be looking forward to that.
Yeah.
All right.
And we're super appreciative of everybody that's coming down from LA and Whittier and all these other communities to come down here, because most people don't. I mean, I'm from San Diego, and until I met Bocha, I would never even get gas in Orange County, And I told somebody the other day, because I would drive up and down to California, I said I would get gas in Kern County before I got gas in Orange County. And they're like, okay, so go ahead.
No, I feel the same. I really didn't know. Yeah. I mean, I know Orange County because of South Coast Rep, but I really didn't know Santa Ana until I met you guys. So I would like to do this monologue because it's an early Culture Clash monologue that I love. And even though it's not a Chicano immigrant or Mexican immigrant, I want you to see the parallels, right? Do I love Miami? Yes, I said. Because more than any place in the United States, Miami, I love it. Why? I used to say Miami in many aspects is like Haiti without the poverty. So I love Miami. I love Miamians. I never suffer from so-called segregation because I stay in my territory. I know my limits. I know my limits. And I won't allow anyone to cross into my territory and play game. No. I will defend myself to the full extent. But I also know where my right starts, where my duty starts. I can look over and see the grass might be green in my neighbor's yard, but that's his grass. I have grass. You enjoy your grass, I enjoy my grass. We make good neighbor. That's Miami. I used to say, Miami, sorry. I always say American people is good people. As good as any in the world. When I was in New York City, I was lost in the subway. My English was worse than it is now. I was looking around. One white guy said to me, "Hey, can I help you?" I said, "I want to go to downtown." There was no way to cross from uptown train to downtown train. So in cold weather, he crossed the street with me, went down, put 10 cents, and waited for me to catch downtown train. This is one white guy. So people are not enemy. Government are the enemy and make the people pay for it. I have some Cuban friends. Oh, the Cubans always complaining about Castro. Oh, Castro's a communist. Oh, Castro this, Castro that. I say to them, I would prefer 20 times Castro in Haiti than one Duvalier. Oh, don't say that. Shh, don't say that. Don't say that. Shh. I say to them, I would prefer 20 times Castro in Haiti than one Duvalier. At least I say, we both sick. We both have the same disease. You have diabetes, I have high blood pressure. As diabetic, you could take salt. As high blood pressure, I could take sugar. You could take salt, I could take sugar. We have the same disease, only different. So I say to them, oh, you complain about Castro? Let me give you one Duvalier. At least there's not one Cuban who come to this country illiterate, without a skill. Every Haitian who come to this country bring with him the problem created in Haiti by American policy. You are part of the problem. You must be part of the solution. Merci beaucoup. Yeah, thank you.
All right. So before we go to questions.
So, I mean, isn't that a beautiful how...
It is, yeah.
I mean, the Mala talks about, you know, I mean, Cuba's an island, Haiti's an island, but they have their histories and their relationship with the United States is so different, right?
And this was just a working class guy.
Yeah.
Just not a scholar.
No, just breaking it down, just telling it like it is, right?
So I want to get to questions, but before we do, let's issue a challenge. Let's start a revolution right here. What do you suggest to these fine people here coming from all over?
I'm just so proud to be here in this room with you guys. There's so much talent, so much passion, so much love in this room, you know? I just don't see anything wrong with that. I just think that's good enough for me. That's revolution to me.
John Lennon, right? There.
Yeah.
Jesus.
I mean, I don't, I think this is the one thing I was talking about, Matt, with we don't have to try that hard, ultimately. You know what I'm saying? We're always, for a long time I wanted to be a Hollywood star, right? And all that shit,
Encino Man.
Yeah, but we played the Hollywood game, but man, if I would have stuck with that, I wouldn't be sitting here with you right now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would be somewhere very, I don't know, very depressed, I think. You know what I'm saying?
And this
because I was chasing something that wasn't me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, and this gave you a lot of freedom.
Yeah, I mean, I'm able to write my own stories. When I have an agent. I have to audition. Every week I get an audition and I'll do it on tape. I don't even want to tell you the shit that I have to do. It's just like it's so degrading. 90% of them are narcos, or guys that don't speak English. You know what I'm saying? Like, and they're just bit parts. So it's like, why am I going to sit around waiting for the phone to ring just to get a bit part that's not a good part, and we just didn't, that they're going to cut me out anyway in the because I've done movies where they've cut me out, because I wasn't essential to the story. You know what I'm saying? So these stories are these are for Latinos to star in.
But we do got to give you props for the two Tios in the Disney film.
Oh well, yeah, that was done right. They did that right. You know what I'm saying? We got to give props where it is.
Mm-hmm.
And Pixar did their research. They went down to Mexico and really talked to the people and used cultural consultants like Dan Guerrero and Octavio Solis.
You had a big team.
And yeah, I was. That's how I started. I was a consultant, a cultural consultant. And then while I was in the room, with all the directors and all the heads, I go, I can do voices, And they're like, oh yeah. I took my shot, like Hamilton said. I took my shot, right? I was in the room with all the fuckers, that made decisions, and I'm like, hey, I'm here. I can do voices. And they're like, yeah, okay, we'll keep you in mind. And sure enough, the next month they call me, hey, do you want to come up and do the two voices of the Tios? I'm like, fuck yeah. So you got to take your shot when you're in the belly of the beast.
Yeah.
But if I would have auditioned, they were like, who's that guy? Let's go with,
Well, this book represents a whole career of taking your shot.
Yeah.
And making it, because all these things are groundbreaking. Like, again, I want to take you back to like 88, 89, 90. You didn't see this stuff. Like, nobody was funding it, Teatro Campesino. Even Teatro Campesino is kind of insular. Like even the Chicano organizations don't welcome it. So you have to find those spaces and create those spaces and build those relationships. And sometimes it's not a straight line. But
yeah, we didn't want to be a nonprofit. You know what I'm saying? We wanted to be free-footed. You know, the minute you get a theater, even a theater this big, you got to pay rent, you got to fundraise. So what happens is the artist becomes an administrator, a fundraiser, and I didn't want to do that. None of the three of us didn't want to do that. Right. So we just, we were just locals, and luckily we got funded by, we had other fundraisers. We had the organization fund us.
And I remember when I used to write about you guys and about like Chicano Secret Service, when I would describe you as a comedy troupe, I would spell it T-R-O-O-P, not T-R-O-U-P-E, because there was that element of it.
Of a troupe, yeah.
Had a mission.
F troupe.
Yeah, F troupe. and it was great. I mean, seeing you guys go from high drama to Three Stooges at the drop of a hat, and so just amazing work. If there's anybody that hasn't seen Herbert or Culture Clash or anybody on stage, it's a definite experience. Get the book because you'll get to read it and see how it is in the mind. To imagine it, which is a whole other space. But on stage, it's really just electric. It's just fun.
Yeah, there really isn't anything like a Culture Clash show. Yeah. I mean, I got to say that. I say that because I've done other plays with other actors and other people. It's great, but I just got back doing Quijote Nuevo at Oregon Shakes. Beautiful play, great play. Yeah. People were loving it, but it's still not as good as a Culture Clash play.
Yeah. No, they're just electric. Witty, crazy, zany, but also pithy,
Yeah, it's fun.
So now can we take questions? You want to ask?
Sure, let's wrap it up.
Does anybody have some questions here? David, do you have a question?
Yeah, so what's your favorite line from Coco 2?
Coco 2? I don't think they even written the script yet, Yeah. It's going to come out in 2029.
Oh, wow.
Shit, I'll be 70 by then.
No, I did have one serious question, or actually two, but I'll ask one. So let's see here. The last time we had the pleasure of hearing you speak, you talked about how in all of your plays, Latinos are in power, no matter where the location, whether it be Cuba, whether it be free
ranch owners,
ranch owners,
or narco kings.
Narco kings, a post-apocalyptic future. At what point did that? And you talked about how important it was for you that you not write plays about victimhood, about the struggle.
Right.
And at what point did that become apparent to you? And did it become kind of like, when did it become this conscientious decision that you really owned?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know if it was conscience, but I just never enjoyed writing about pain. You know what I'm saying? Like in a realistic way. I'll take pain and convert it into comedy, you know what I'm saying? But to be really literal and, to write about a kid in a cage, missing their mom, it's just like, what the, it's like, I know it exists, but I don't feel like I'm the writer, or I don't feel like I'm the right person to write about that, you know what I'm saying? And I'm touching my mic. So, and, again, I just don't, I check out. I personally check out when I go see a play that's just, pounding me over the head with reality that I already know. I could read about it, I could see it on the news, and then I'm going to go hear it again on a play. Like, come on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand the intention, and it's important, but I think you lose the audience ultimately. You lose me, and I want to participate, but I like to see Latinos in power, in charge of they're the protagonists. Because the minute you write somebody that's a victim, they're not the protagonist probably. They're usually probably the the second fiddle. You know what I'm saying? It'd be really hard to just follow that. It takes a really skilled writer, I think, to do a play about just something painful like that, and make it uplifting still, Otherwise, it's depressing. Yeah.
Another question.
What literary work would you like to be remembered by? Like one, you could pick one
Well, I think our best play as collectively, as culture college, would be Chavez Ravine. Chavez Ravine to me was probably the epics of our writing, because I think the three of us really contributed to it equally, and it has comedy, it has drama, it has history, it has all kinds, music. I just think that one really hit. We were at the top of our game when we wrote that one. Yeah.
Or questions over
You
here.
guys know about Chavez Ravine, right? That's where the Dodger Stadium is. Yeah.
The world champion.
Yeah, the world champions. Yeah.
Yeah. And now they want that sky rail. So you got to do Chavez Ravine 2.
Oh, really?
The sky.
Oh, the sky rail. Whoa.
Yeah. More questions? Do you have questions?
When you started yourself, what do you say to somebody who feels like the resistance come up and the resentment and like, why I have to do it? And you kind of exist in hating the system you wish you welcome into.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well, okay, do your own thing. There's, again, the spaces like this space. Start slow, start low, don't have big expectations that, the Mark Taper Forum is going to do your play, you know what I'm saying? I think, okay, I'm going to talk to Victor. I'm going to do a reading here, I'm going to do a reading here. And I've always said, Picasso says this, action creates action. In other words, if you put your energy into this reading right here to maybe 10, 20 people, you'll be surprised. Something's going to come out of it. You're putting a seed in, and you'll see that someone's going to say, you know what, I have this other place that might want to hear this reading. Why don't you come over and do it? And then you get a bigger audience, 40, 50 people. And then in that audience, there might be somebody who has a little theater, you know what I'm saying? And that's how it happens to me. I just like to put it out there,
Yeah.
And you'd be, yeah. So don't get discouraged before you even do it, you know what I'm saying? Do it and start slow, have low expectations, and then, it'll grow. It'll grow.
And I would add to that, as you do your work, you can draw from any number of wells to get your ideas and your energy. But I think the one that's most evident in your work with Culture Clash on your own is that you drink from the well of joy.
Yeah.
And
we write for ourselves. We don't
Yeah.
write, we're not commissioned to write. Sometimes we're commissioned, but we really write it for ourselves. And then,
there's a lot of fun in the process,
Yeah,
I imagine.
yeah.
Which is different.
There's ways of follow, right? Because we don't think we're good enough, right? I never thought I was good enough until you said, Ruben, you're a writer.
Yeah.
You told me that, right?
Mhm.
Not until that flips, that switch.
yeah, it is. Yes.
And now it's already, what, 60 years old?
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm like, we need to encourage ourselves all.
Yeah.
No, you're right. It is a switch. It's that simple.
And
Once you own it,
yeah.
you say, this is who I am, you write
Yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm. Write for yourself first.
And all of a sudden your audience comes to you.
Yeah.
You're writing your authentic.
Because you're developing.
You were so authentic, it's not funny, right? You were just like, right on.
Yeah.
Right on life.
And if you notice, he's so authentic that he's universal. He can read in any community and people will applaud him because they recognize the humanity, they recognize themselves in it because it's so universal.
And ultimately, you're developing your own voice. That's like your task. So you can borrow and interpolate and patch together from other sources, but you want to end up with your own voice. And if that's the case, it doesn't matter what other people think, if they like or don't like what you're doing, because you like what you're doing.
Don't write for the audience. Don't ever write for the audience because it's, I'd be lying if I don't have it in the back of my mind, but for the most part, you write what you want to see, what you would like to see.
And the Latino market is worth $4.5
There you go.
trillion.
There you go.
Yeah, and connect like this. Connect with other people who think like you do, who are appreciative of like you. They want to form a conversation,
All right, I think we're done.
We're done?
Yeah, I think we're done.
Okay, let's hear it
Yeah, I
for
think
Herbert
we're
then. Let's hear it for El Martillo Press, Jackson Press, Editorial Half Breed, Moontide.
Martillo Press. Martillo Press, M, 2 M's.
All right.